If you're publishing research, chances are you're exploring any possible paths to publishing open access. Why? Publishing open access increases readership and potential citation, opening your research to both academics and the world beyond. It also helps you be compliant with not only the University of St. Andrews open access policy, but also the policies of many key funding bodies. But as you look into this, you may be unsure about all the different terminologies popping up. In this video, we'll cover some of the primary paths to publishing open access, including green and gold open access. So what is green open access? Green open access is when an earlier version of the published piece of research is archived, often in a repository. This is often called self-archiving. Usually, the version deposited is the author's accepted manuscript. That is, the version of the research that's been peer-reviewed but hasn't yet gone through copy editing, designing, proofing, or other actions that are publisher-based. That said, the version deposited is often based on whatever the publisher allows, which would be dictated in their own self-archiving policies or the contract you signed unless you have retained specific rights. Green open access is also what we at the university recommend, as it requires no fees and can easily comply with most funding requirements. Sometimes publishers require an embargo, meaning items cannot be self-archived until a certain period of time has passed. This can sometimes counter funding requirements or go against the university's open access policy. To support researchers in going green, we encourage a rights retention strategy. What is a rights retention strategy? Briefly, it is simply stating the rights you as author retain when publishing your research, as well as the licensing that your accepted manuscript will carry. This strategy can allow you to deposit your materials as soon as it is accepted or published, and therefore can adhere to any funding or policy requirements. Green open access carries all the benefits and then some that other open access pathways have, including increased visibility and citations. Furthermore, most repositories, including our own, are discoverable with metadata indexed by major search engines to make sure your research is actually accessible and visible. Now, what about gold open access? Gold open access sees your research immediately made freely available and open in its final version of record. This is the copy of the publication that has been copy edited, proofread, designed, and laid out. It also comes with reuse licensing, such as a Creative Commons license chosen by either publisher or author. Usually, gold open access carries a fee with it, called an article or book processing charge. This can cost a lot, and while the university encourages green open access for this reason, there are some ways of mitigating the cost, including various funds. We also have dozens of partnerships and agreements that will either entirely cover these fees or offer discounts. More information can be found on our Open Access Hub online. That said, fees are not always required. When this is the case, it's often called Diamond Open Access. These two should indicate and apply reuse licensing in order to be fully open access and comply with funding requirements. No matter what path you're on when it comes to publishing or open access, we're here to support you. If you have any questions, please email us at openaccess@standrews.ac.uk or visit us online.